I want to welcome him here to the council, to welcome him back to New York. The president knows this city very, very well, having studied at Fordham as an undergraduate. I believe received your master's degree in international relations from the New School and spent several years with the United Nations at the Secretariat as well. So he knows us well and is fresh and rested and hopefully invigorated by our beautiful spring weather. And with that, I turn it over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We recognize old friends like Maurice Templesman. He has been with us for a long time, and I still see him being active. Reed Kramer also, I see, and all old friends, many of them. So thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here, to again just exchange views with friends and also people who advise governments in policy matters and so on. As you know, Namibia is a young democracy still, but indeed true democracy in the true sense of the word. Our governance architecture is in place. We have regular free and fair elections. Our macroeconomic architecture is also good. Our banking system is working. We get good ratings from rating agencies, BBB, positive, but now there will be some problems maybe. But I just want to always jump to social architecture where we have problems because we have good constitution, good policies, but people now want to benefit from those good policies. They would like to eat, they would have to have accommodation, decent, it is accommodation, not luxury, but it is people to live in something that is livable. And then also to think of peace. Democracy is good. It's a better system because even if you are quarreling, I keep on saying you don't have to go to war when you are in democratic dispensation. So I tell people, yes, make noise, complain. Moment you keep quiet, I would think there is something wrong. And that I learned from your country when I was a student during the tough days of Black Power struggle. There was war here. And one professor at Lincoln said people 30 years ago, were the black people better off or worse off? Then we said, so what? Then he says, they were worse off, but they were so quiet. Why were we not angry that time? Then we couldn't answer that. He said, do you know people, when people have hope and they see a light at the end of the tunnel, they make noise. So they are hopeful. So I always use that example in my country, that people are now so angry, they want things done. Sometimes I say, is it because I am now the president or what is it? But then I think it's because they are hopeful. So I tell them, moment you keep quiet, I will be worried. So demand. So we go by legacy. We have legacy of founding president who was a freedom fighter, who led us during the struggle and took us back. Reconciled, people were warring, white, black, different tribes divided by Bantustans, put them together, and had a peaceful transition, building on his legacies. Then we got another president whom we call stabilizer, a cool cat, very calm. And then they say now the person who comes must be active and he must bring about prosperity. That's the most difficult task. Now, how do I do that? I took all of last year with my team to kind of have a rallying point. How do I wake people 26, 25 years, some are losing hope, so we have to energize them again. So come up with slogans like building Namibian house where we're going to all live together peacefully using bricks, our different tribes and races. It was beautifully painted, and presented, and it's now the talk, Namibian house, and I said, now one must feel left out from that house, one Namibia. So those things have been reignited. Now, the implementation. So we came up with a plan that is called Harambee Prosperity Plan. Some say, why Harambee? That's a Swahili word. Why not our own language word? We said, yes, we have so many languages. If I had to choose my language, we would have said, oh, we are left out. So I took the neutral language, Swahili language, African language. I'm a Pan-Africanist too. So therefore, Harambee meaning pulling together in the same direction. So that's what we are now implementing. I have my experts here, my economic advisor was a person. I have also people who will participate. I don't talk alone. I believe in teamwork, and that is the way we do it. Everywhere I go, I let them talk. After all, people paid for them to be here. So they must also work so that I can say they are also delivering. So I have my wife first. She's also active business lady. Then I have the Deputy Prime Minister, who is our Foreign Relations and Cooperation person. Then I have the Minister for Economic Affairs and Planning. Then I have the Minister for Environment, because we are going to sign tomorrow the agreement, so he's here for that part. Namibia is a country where we have good conservation policies, so he can also pitch in. Our two ambassadors, then Dr. Stedler is my economic advisor, the wife of our ambassador, then he used to be my staff. I sent him here to Washington when I was a Minister of Trade, a trade representative. So I have that big team, and it will be good that we can interact. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I think we already get a flavor of the energy that you're bringing to the project. And you have made poverty alleviation, poverty elimination a huge priority for Namibia going forward. But I want to draw you out on something you and I had a chance to talk a little bit about before we joined everyone. You're building the Namibian house collectively with your countrymen and women and trying to build this prosperous future. And this is, you have tremendous human resources in your country. Clearly, you have natural resources. But help in a building project is always a good thing, be it in the form of assistance or trade and investment. And can you talk to us a little bit about how sometimes Namibia's success and Namibia's status as an upper middle income country can make it challenging to access some of the assistance that might make the road a bit smoother or the journey a bit faster?
Yes, I used to argue with my colleague here when he was a banker, when he was the governor of the bank, when he was raising that issue of the higher middle income country status. He said, why are you against being rich country? Just make it work. Yes, it's true. And before I say that, let me express my thanks to President Bush administration. During the time that Millennium Challenge account was being conceived, we were left out, Botswana and Namibia, because we are rich. But they made an exception to include us. And I must tell you, there's one project that had made a mark, indelible mark in Namibia. Comes to schooling, when it comes to actually helping the conservation, excellent. Libraries built, big libraries that children go and study there. You can see there is something that has been left. And we were one of the countries which implemented it about 95% or so on, if not more. So we're praised for that. But unfortunately, it stopped. So that status makes it that it's because of success. It makes it that we don't get any grants or soft loans and so on. And we came from a very bad situation, apartheid colony, where blacks were completely left out educationally, politically, and otherwise. And when we come from that background, we are told, since you are rich, you can't get any help. That is not fair. And if countries, I don't want to say it to expose them, but we are making a job out of frustration. If you mismanage, you are rewarded. If you have piled up debts, the debts are written off, you get loans, soft loans, grants. But if you are successful trying to manage your own affairs properly, say you are rich. Some embassies are closing down and say we're going to poorer countries. Say, wait. And I had to take one of them and say, are you going to close your embassy in America? Because they were trying to give me a cheap excuse to say, since you are rich, we are going to a poorer country, we can help. So that is not fair, really. But it also made us maybe to be independent, maybe, to rely on our own resources, to maybe manage them properly, and therefore to be transparent, accountable, and depend on our own resources and manage them properly, both human and material resources. So it's true. It's not fair. I think for a country which came from apartheid, white-black situation, where white people are, because of history, rich, and blacks are poor and left out. Now, I was at the World Bank for some short time. They told me, yes, your country is rich. Your problem is that of redistribution of that wealth. And I said, are you saying I must go and grab it from the whites and give it to the blacks? Are you going to be happy with that? Because you know there is this inequality. Highest, maybe we are about a few countries who have highest coefficiency, Gini coefficiency. And we have brought it down, we are working very hard, but it's still, and you see always countries where you have this black-white situation, even the United States, for advanced country is still high, four, about 4, you see? And we are 5 now, 5 something. But we are 6, no, we are 7. We brought it down. So that is what you have inherited. So although materially the country is rich, resource-wise, but when you look at people, blacks were like any African countries, poor. And therefore those who are poor are helped in other countries, but we are told we are rich. And that is very serious. If we didn't manage Namibian reconciliation, being a small country we're not talking about, we came before President Mandela. South Africa whites were coming to my office to talk to me. How did you manage it? That black and whites, and ours was worse situation because of lack of education. Separation was complete, so to say. South Africa, they were still mingling at Cape Town University and so on, at academic level and so on. But ours was a complete separation. But we took those people, and not only white, black, there's also division among our own tribes. The Bantu stands, you are this tribe, you go there. And we took those people, put them together, have reconciliation, and are managing our things properly. And South Africa was helped by that former terrorists can be trusted, they can create a very democratic situation where all Namibians, all people are respected, are welcome. That's what we're talking about. We are building Namibian house with different ethnic groups, races. The bricks that we are using are our races and colors, and laws we are passing in parliament are that glue that is putting us together. When you finish the wall, you plaster it, you paint. You no longer can identify individual tribes or race. That's a Namibian house I'm talking about. That's what we are building, and I think we are making progress.
It's fascinating, especially considering how much attention there is in this political cycle here in the United States to income inequality, to think about the experience of Namibia. And I want to follow up on what you were talking about in terms of the example that Namibia set for South Africa, and really a broader question about how does a country like Namibia, quite young, really by most metrics extraordinarily successful, how does a country like Namibia, though, that is small in population, be influential regionally and globally? Is it enough to lead by example? I note, and I'm sure many others in the room have noted your own example. You and the First Lady have publicly disclosed your assets. You've insisted on your ministers doing the same. Your predecessor was noted for emphasis on accountability and good governance as well, won the Ibrahim Prize. Is it enough to lead by example? Or does a voice like Namibia's need to be heard more in regional and global fora to tackle some of these other problems and to present a alternative to the vision of some countries on the continent where you do have leaders who've been in place for decades?
Yes, when you're a small country, it's difficult. Even if you have good ideas. I made a joke once when we were looking for Security Council seat. I like to make jokes sometimes. Then we think we must get two big countries, Nigeria and South Africa are possible candidates. So I was saying, we're talking about it. We must also be careful. We should also think of neutral, smaller country, because wisdom is not only confined to big powers. We may be small, but we are in the same schools. So we may be the ones who can contribute more by being neutral, knowing we are weak and having less interest. But that is a joke. It's just how it works if you go to bigger countries. Yes, Namibia is respected in Africa, maybe because we have been in exile for too long, working with people, they know us, we're at the UN. Somebody said we infiltrated, Kramer will know that we infiltrated the United Nations, we were having a council for Namibia, working with others. We are definitely respected. And we are also resource. Investors don't come these days because of good governance per se. They also come for resources. So if you have resources like uranium, the things that people are looking for, right now I will tell you, after my inauguration, the invitation list that to me is unique, that I'm invited to pay a state visit, will start from China, Russia, France. Those are all uranium-connected countries. So they never pay attention to us because of resources we have. And also in AU, we have standing. Our president, these are people who are in formation of OAU. So we are actually known in Africa. We know African leaders. And ourselves, I can forced to go to Brazzaville for inauguration of President Christian Seso. And you could see that I was the only English-speaking person, but that affinity is there, and people asking to consult. So we are recognized. But how do we do that? Example of good governance. Good governance, effective governance, I call it, and service delivery. First, leading by example, that declaration was done with Pricewaterhouse. Some people came from here, and they prepared a paper for me that I could release. Namibia must be a center for ethics, and you must now invite the leaders from Africa to have seminars. Hey, don't go there. Africa, there is respect for elders and so on. How do I? First, I'm so new as a president, and many people think I'm very young, but I'm older than many of them, by the way, some of them presidents, but they all think I'm younger than them, and I take it that way. And how do I invite, as a young person, older people to come and lecture them? That's not how we do it. But if you live by example, examples like keeping time, small things. When I was appointing the cabinet, I had to ask CVs from ministers. They first thought I was trying to interfere in their business, their resistance. CVs, then trying to match the skills with the position they're going to hold. Then, after that, appointed them contract, management, the performance contracts. Again, these are new things, trying to say, why is this man trying to be a dictator or so on? And then again, when you are telling them it's for us to deliver now, our task is to deliver. Others were setting up the stage, the foundation for peace, unity, democracy. With democracy now, people don't eat democracy. They want food, shelter. So therefore, you must join hands, all of us, so we can work in deliverance. Timekeeping. My cabinet meeting has to start 9 o'clock. It must start 9 o'clock. First time, ministers will come in maybe late. They saw me. Second time, they are there 9 o'clock sharp, meeting starts, 1 o'clock we go out, and then to go and work. And then involving the people. Town hall meetings concept, I copied from you people. And I went to all 14 regions, meeting with ordinary people, sitting there for 4 or 5 hours, people talking, and then also other business people. And so engage people. But I'm not alone, I will be with them. They all talk. Because if I fail to explain, I call the economists to explain. And then came up with a plan that we are calling Harambee Plan. Now with that, it went through. Africa first, Kenyans like it, because we're using the Swahili word. East Africans say, oh, that's very good. And then that plan is now going around. So that kind of things are small things, but you are recognized, and you must be humble also. We are very respectful to elders, to senior people, as I said, African leaders. I behave like I'm the youngest. But most except for few, most of them, I'm older than them. But they were longer in their office, therefore they are senior to me. So yes, Namibia will still make headway. We are just starting.
Indeed. It's easy to forget how young the country is. It's also young demographically, like so much of Africa. Over half the population, I think, of Namibia is under the age of 25. And so then most Namibians were born after independence. And as you say, what they want is
we call them born free.
Indeed, the born frees, just as in South Africa, the born frees. And the challenge of meeting the demands of the born frees, right, who are exposed to the same images of wealth and prosperity on social media that any young person here is, have the same aspirations for their future, brings me back to this question about poverty alleviation and creating new economic opportunity. And I guess a couple parts of my question. First, do those young people, do they participate in these town halls? Is that how you hear from them? Is that the mechanism, or are they finding new means of political expression? And then, when you're looking to solve the big problem, the job creation imperative, the economic future of the country, given that foreign assistance is largely not available because of Namibia's status, trade and investment, the theory of the case, right, is that the private sector should fill that gap. Trade and investment should fill that gap. Where is that happening and where is it not? I know there's significant Chinese investment, certainly in Namibia. I believe more than 40 Chinese firms operating, bringing in, according to an article I recently read, some $4.6 billion in revenue annually. Are you seeing the same kind of aggressive investment strategy from other economic powers?
Yes, they should. We have a slogan that I quaint. Namibia is a child of international solidarity, midwifed by United Nations. So, friend to all, enemy to none. That's what the cornerstone of our foreign policy. And therefore, when we are saying now, government must look towards those who are needy and provide conducive environment for those who are able to be on their own, using the conducive investment climate we are providing. An invitation is open to everybody. Canadians are also there in a big way. Besides mentioning Chinese, we have the mining sector, uranium, and also copper. I just launched the smelter acid plant in Chumep 2 weeks ago. So Canadians are there. I had a very good, successful visit by congressional delegation led by Senator Flake. We are going to receive business delegation in May, Ambassador Anjaba, in May. And it's open to everybody. Chinese factor is a factor, a reality in the world. You know, I'm a Waldorf Astoria person. I was put there first time by Templesman and them. And I said, why are they putting me in that place? I discovered it as a cheaper one compared to where I was staying in the Continental Hotel, far, far cheaper. So we are scared of Waldorf. So can you imagine landmark like Waldorf Astoria to have been bought by Chinese here in your city? They're everywhere, the Chinese. It's a big population. And Namibia, of course, have to be careful because I was in Lusaka when the Tasara Road was being built. We never saw Chinese socializing. But of course, we have to also give credit that Chinese have opened up even in China. But in Namibia, we are already seeing, what do you call them? Ovambochin or what? You see the children coming. That's very serious. Because if you have a child, you can bring the family to see the children. It's family. So being a small population, you have to be careful. One day you wake up, you are only 1 million, 2 million, and so it's a reality. But they are saying they have opened up to the world. They are in America. They are everywhere. But we always say we had a very difficult struggle to free ourselves. Not supported from the American government, as I said the other day, supported by those former communist countries. We fought to free our country. And I don't think any Namibian takeover will exchange that freedom to be recolonized by any other person. We tell Chinese that, and I copy their statement that I got from them. When I went to China as a Minister of Trade, because there was nearly a fist fight in Namibia because they were bringing ordinary workers. The unemployment is so high, they were not obeying our laws, there were labor laws. So I said, before you are going to fight, let me go and tell them what is happening there and what could happen very soon. So I went there, and then they told me, you know, and I saw sort of American things there. I said, oh, comrades, what's happening here? Americans taking over here. They said they have opened up 30 years ago. They are private sector and they are open. But, that but is very important. Whoever is here comes on our own terms. So I keep on telling them, don't forget what you're telling us. When you come to Namibia, you must also come on our own terms and create win-win situation. And I will not deny that we are happy with some of the investments. I went to, first, we don't eat uranium. We don't even know. Namibians don't know what is uranium. Diamonds, some ladies are now wearing it, but it's a thing we eat. But somebody must need it who add economic value to it. And Chinese want to get uranium for whatever reason. Thing that I don't even know Namibians don't eat. And they come and build a company, a mine in a desert, build a highway there. 2,000 people who were in the streets are housed with running water and lights. I said, that's good, that's investment. However, how do we benefit from that to create win-win situation? Always quoting them. So firstly, they agreed your laws must apply, because I told them, if you don't obey our laws, we have labor laws, overtime must be paid. You cannot bring wheelbarrow pushers, because we have already high unemployment. Therefore, bring on the experts, but not to bring people to the ordinary work and not to compete with retail business, with Namibians are involved, small people. So we did all those things. So there is no way we, as a land of the brave, we are not just called land of the brave for a joke. We fought South Africa, you know. Even if you compare us with ANC and so, we are fighting South African army, the battlefield. So we don't believe, and are very proud people, as we are saying, the land of the brave, very proud and very maybe misplaced pride, but we are not going to exchange our freedom with anybody else coming to take it. We are very straight, and we respect them, they respect us, to tell the truth. I met the president of China already 2 times. So respect is there. But we've put our case where we stand, I want to cooperate, and we see there is respect. There is serious respect. And we Africans now believe in that too. Not just to be taken as small boys who don't know anything and so on. I think we want to matter, as we are saying on Namibia's role, we want to matter in world affairs. And if Chinese can build us up, if the Russians are now coming back to compete with you, and they respect me, if President Obama respects us, why not? We are actors in this world, small or not.
Clearly, and the climate change element of your agenda here alone sort of is symbolic of that, right? You're here and you're here in person to underscore the importance of this, not just for Namibia, but for the world. Well, at this point, I'd like to invite members to join the conversation. Please remember that this meeting is on the record. And if you'd like to ask a question, just go ahead and turn your name card to vertical, and I'll do my best. I might not be able to see your name because of the angles, but we'll soldier on. When you're selected, please do speak into a microphone, state your name and affiliation, and if I could, please just ask everyone to keep their question concise. Even at the council, it's rare to get such a treat to have an opportunity to chat with a head of state, and so we don't want to lose time delivering a lot of our own remarks. So with that, why don't we start with Maurice Temple-Smith?
Thank you, Michelle. Coming back to the Harambee Plan, which is a very well thought through and comprehensive roadmap, and then moving to what you indicated as one being a new president, but you bring to this position a rare and unusual combination of qualities. The first one, obviously, a political knowledge and sensitivity, but you're also blessed with the capacity or reputation of being a terrific administrator. And that brings to mind a question or point, a lens through which a former president of a neighboring country, where Ambassador Gavin used to say, Festus Mochai, and he was fond of saying, if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. Looking at it through that lens, what are your priorities in terms of execution of your Harambee Plan?
Well, as I said, thank you, Maurice. Come a long way. Yes, I have also learned through that long experience to be a team player. That's a strong thing to have a team. John, can you, first let me start with the Minister Tom Alwendo. I have the Deputy Prime Minister, so they all must play a role. But let's start, since you are a planning minister and economic minister.
Thank you, Comrade President. Thank you, Comrade President. Maybe just start off with what we have started off by saying. You know, the time has come for, I think, Namibia to do some extraordinary things. 26 years, people are now demanding different things, not more like, you know, yes, we had the peace, but now we need to deliver prosperity. But that can only happen if we are going to do certain things, and hence the Harambee Plan, which has got, you know, pillars, you know, certain pillars which we realize that we need to do. You know, talk about economic transformation. We talk about governance and deliveries. We talk about infrastructure development. Those are all important pillars which we need to embrace, invest in, for us to be able then to deliver the prosperity which we need. But that can also only happen with the assistance of our partners. I mean, earlier on we were talking about, you know, us being upper middle income countries and therefore not getting the assistance other people are getting. But there are also something I think we can still get from our partners. We talk about, for example, under Harambee, the economic transformation. That transformation of the economy can take place only if we industrialize, and we have agreed that we need to industrialize. And Namibia, and not only Namibia, also the whole continent, that transformation through industrialization can only also happen if we start by adding value to the commodities which you all export from the continent. There we can get some assistance from our partners. And that assistance in terms of how we trade, how we've been trading all this time. The value addition we are talking about on the commodities which we export in raw forms, we need to engage the private sector, because it's the private sector naturally that has been the exporters of those raw materials. And by and large, those private sectors are not always African private sectors. It's private sectors usually from developed nations. And therefore, we would like to have our partners from those countries to agree with us to say their multinational companies need to agree to add values to our raw materials. And that's, I think, where I think we can really get that partnership, that support from the likes of you to encourage those multinationals to play the same role which we want to play by creating prosperity through industrializations and through beneficiation of our commodities. That is, I think, what I can say about the Harambee. But as I say, there are not only the transformation, but there are other pillars like, as I said, as the deliveries, governance. Because without governance, like we talked about earlier on, people to start believing that, yes, these are all possible things we can all do. That is very, very important, to have that mindset that says, yes, we can achieve all these big things which we have put ourselves to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And add this point.
Thank you, Comrade President. Just to the question of Mr. Templesman, in terms of priorities, the plan is built around 4 pillars. But if I can single out 2 priorities that His Excellency has singled out, number 1 would be to fight corruption. We have declared full-out war on corruption. And therefore, in terms of the first pillar, Maurice, we are targeting to become the most accountable country on the African continent, as measured by the Mo Ibrahim Index. We are also planning to retain our space as the country that's rated as the freest in terms of press freedom, as measured by Reporters Without Borders. We also want to improve service delivery. And one priority for us is also to become the most competitive economy in Africa, not just in SADC. We are currently number 5, but we want to, within a period of 4 years, say that we are most competitive. And for us to do that, we are looking really at a business environment. We'd like to streamline business processes, making it easier for the private sector to operate, because the private sector is the ultimate creators of wealth. Then another key priority for the government will be the declaration on poverty, the war on poverty. Now, this is a war that will have to be won over many years, but under the Harambee period, we start with hunger poverty, and we say that no Namibians should die because of hunger. Then there are also a key priority on vocational technical education, and also some priorities in the area of infrastructure development. So these are some of the priorities, Maurice, that I can highlight from the plan. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Gail, Gerhard? The red light should come on. There we are. Help.
Sorry. Could you explain to us the current relationship of Namibia with the government of North Korea? This has been publicized in the press now and again, and it's been pointed out that Namibia is in violation of the UN agreements about cooperation with North Korea. Can you give us an explanation of your current position on that?
Yes, thank you. As I said, we used to fight apartheid regime after we exhausted all peaceful means. I came here as a young boy in '64, and then I was made a petitioner at the UN, begging everybody to help us, to free us, peacefully. United States had relations with South Africa, Israel, Portugal, those who were oppressing our people at that time, bad regimes to me. But because of national interest, you had relations, vetoing resolutions, calling for us to get our independence and human rights. That's a national interest, serving American interests. So after independence, these countries continued to have relations with us. They helped us during the struggle, and therefore we invite them to come and also join us, as we are doing even today, to be involved with us to develop the country like any other person, as I said. Koreans came long time ago to build the state house that we are living in before the sanctions. And that relationship was there. And then we also had to build some structures like the Heroes Acres, we call it, where people, like you have a grave you have in Washington, Arlington.
Arlington,
Yes. So there were people who sacrificed their lives during the war, and they must be buried properly or recognized. We have that. We are good at that. They built that. So Koreans were there that time before sanctions came, plus also some monuments. If you go to Namibia, you will only see any structure standing there is German structure, nothing African. Because maybe we had mud huts, so therefore they cannot stand as structures. So you only have this German structure. We want to bring in our own legacy also as people. And don't say it's Chinese or Korean buildings. These are we are the ones who say build this and this. Like you got your famous Statue of Liberty. It's a gift from France. It's not you who built it, but it's France, so it's yours. So that's how we have those statues, things being built by Koreans. When the sanctions came in, we had to sit down and see where are we in conflict. Nothing is retroactive, the way I was trained by your universities that we mentioned. The law that was not there when crime was committed is not applicable to that situation. So some of the things like building our state house was done before the sanctions came in. Only sanction which is now comprehensive was a recent one of about, is 2006, what is it? Yeah. That is the only sanction that we may be in violation of. And we talked to the American ambassador, explained to him even before I came. We made appointment with the chairman of the sanctions committee. By the way, we should also be careful. Is it the American sanctions or United Nations sanctions? Whose sanction is it? Oh, United Nations sanctions. So we are accountable to United Nations, not to Americans. Okay? So we are going to see that committee to explain to them. We will send a report. And it's not a question that we are committing a crime. These things are new, whereby they are testing their nuclear weapons. Even Chinese had complained. So now that's a new development. But what they were doing there was not illegal or violating any sanctions. But the comprehensive sanctions is just about 2 months out. And that's what we're going to discuss with them. How, in fact, we already complied when the one company was listed with 2 people who are listed as maybe undercover agents for the regime. We send them away. So we complied with the sanctions. But the one which is now comprehensive is raising things like the defense headquarters, which was it started a long time ago. So we are going to discuss that with United Nations. But I'm glad to inform Americans that's what we are doing.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And so just to clarify, what I understand you to be saying is that it is your position that Namibia is accountable for adhering to UN agreed upon sanctions. And this is what the discussion is about.
Yeah, I told the American ambassador, we are United Nations creation. And there is no way we can stand in a way of violating United Nations resolution.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, it's my age, and I cannot make it, but the woman right in front of me, yes, thank you so very much. I apologize for that.
Mojuba Olufunke Okome. My question is about the born-free generation, their aspirations, because how similar and how different are those aspirations from that of the older generation? And especially in terms of education, from what I gather, there's a lot of interest on the part of the government to focus on vocational and technical education. How does this gel with what the youth want and their aspirations?
Very good question. Firstly, there is generational gap, I think. We who are old-timers, when I'm campaigning, I can go and tell the old people we fought for freedom. You know how bad apartheid was. And they connect. Youth, my daughter, my kids don't know. So what? They may say, I'm unemployed. I want education. The information age people, they are on these things. They don't care about, you were talking about how bad apartheid was. That's not their concern. They are unemployed. They want education. They want high tech. That's their concern. So you will be wasting your time if you go and talk to them about how we struggled against South Africa. You lose them. So even vocational education, which looks like you are taking them back to work with hands, you have to be careful about that. You have to actually talk to them, as I did when I was director of UN Institute for Namibia in Lusaka. We had in administration training, agriculture management. And we are allowing them to register, and there was zero interest in agriculture because they thought agriculture was for blacks who are oppressed, dirty your hands, and so on. So they didn't register voluntarily. So I had to have talks with them to say, comrades, you see, we're going to serve the masses. Yes, yes, yes. What's the population of Windhoek and other towns I mentioned? It came to about 500,000. And Namibia is about 1-point-something million. Now, where are the masses? Oh, they are in the rural areas. Oh, comrades, therefore, agriculture is where they are. That's how you talk to them, and that thing became oversubscribed, even women. So vocational training is the thing. I make a joke when I'm talking. PhDs do not run the countries. When you're sitting like this, concrete examples, if that air conditioner is out, with my PhD, I cannot fix it. So it's people in Germany was built by artisans. We are German, a lot of Germans are there, so we have to link to that. Germans use their hands and look at where Germany is. That's a talk you must give them. Otherwise, you lose them. And they are also getting their social studies degrees. They cannot get jobs. So you are educated, but you're in the street. And that's what I was told about Boko Haram. That President Obama was telling me that, how it started. And the guy who was a leader was apparently having education, Western education degree, but he was unemployed. So he says, other guys came and said, you are educated in the Western world, you have education, but why are you unemployed? That's how they say, destroy Western education. So same may be true of our young people. They have degrees, but they are unemployed. So it's a delicate thing. They are the majority voters too now, very soon. And they are demanding. They are also acting in Namibia, deliberately trying to, what you call their muscles, to show that they have power. They just want to grab the land. While I was still campaigning, organize and grab the land and set a deadline of 31st of July, that country was going to go up in flames. And the party was divided. I just became the leader of the party, and people said, don't talk to them. And first meeting of the political right, I had to expel them from the party, but as a president, I must talk to them. So I held a meeting with them on the 24th of July last year. 6 hours talks, allowing them to make their case and sitting with them for 6 hours. That's how we preserve. Maybe I could have been, you could have read in the papers that maybe it's up in flames. Small things happen like that. And therefore, engage the people. I told them, look, in democracy, you don't have to go to war and burn up things here. We can talk. So the good thing of democracy is dialogue. Diplomats are telling us countries go to war when diplomacy fails. So therefore, if you don't talk to young people and let them win also, after we educated them, they had a deadline of 31st of July. So I said, we are going to service the land. After we talked, I said, there should be no loser. So they say we're going to service the land from 27th of July up to 5th of August. So you don't lose. Because if we don't include your date, it will I won. So let's say that is arranged, therefore you also won. Your day is included. So create a win-win situation. But listen to them. They are very nasty. I'm also on the Facebook and social media. I just engage them. That's their style of doing things. And they appreciate because you are countering them there, answering things, explaining. And many of them, I think I may get 5 nasty tweets, but about 95% will support me because I explain the situation. Engage them at their level. That's social media.
It's a little free political advice for all of us. Mr. Nakayama, yes.
President, my name is Nakayama Citigroup. I have a question about wisdom 2 countries can share, U.S. and Namibia. 2 countries have a challenge that your country has is very heterogeneous, like United States. Under your strong leadership, the country is united. What United States can learn from you or your country about wisdom? And second, what United States should do to create long-term, strong, sustainable relationship with Namibia to become most important partner to your country?
Firstly, I must tell you, United States taught me how to put different people together. As I said, at the time of 60s, that's the time of Black Power movement. That's the time of Ben, Baby Ben. And I also learned in this country that having an open society, and during the Vietnam War, I used to see professors from Ivy League schools, Princeton, Richard Falk was from Princeton, one from Columbia, debating, coming from South Africa, I mean Namibia, which is not allowing those things. I said, hey, these guys are now debating, disagreeing, and so on. And then you take the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the one which has helped the blacks through the rulings of the court to create the harmony. So you shouldn't play down your role. We are also copying from what you have achieved. And also what I have learned here is that open admission, open discussion. Problem we have in Namibia and South Africa is there are some white people who don't want to think of the past. They think Namibia started to be a country from 21st of March 1990. So if you talk about the past, they think you're going back to the past, the ugly history. But here, What makes you move on is that everything is discussed. It looks ugly, maybe people look like they are fighting, but you solve it that way. So it's not, we cannot teach you anything in this country. You taught us, but you also moved further. You jumped what you call by having a black president. I mean, that thing is you may play it down, but as Africa got independence in 1957, Kwame Nkrumah became the first president, black president, so to say, and black Americans were encouraged looking up to Africa that time. Pan-Africanism started. Du Bois went to Ghana and so on, started from there. Encouraged. Now, President Obama being the president of the most powerful country, also helped many Africans like us to be proud. If you go to Asia, sometimes Asia, sometimes people can be more racial in a very unique way. But when you walk around and as a black man, and the American president is also black, it also brings something. So there is not much I can teach you about that. I think you are doing very well. I worked here. I not work. I studied here. I was during that time when it was difficult. But tolerance, still things are happening. But you see, it's not overlooked. NAACP, I forgot, NAACP was helped by white people. Lawyers were, white people were, during the march in the South, whites were killed, 3 whites were killed. That's how the whole thing started. So keep it up. Just discuss. You are a great country. I cannot teach you anything about on that because you are doing. We are learning from you. But of course, Namibia also had contributed. South Africa learned from there too. In the house I'm talking about, where there is a slogan: "No one must feel left out." Not "no one must be left out." No one must feel left out, how that person feels. So don't give the idea of feeling that they are left out. But when you have the president who's black there, how can anybody say blacks are left out? So keep it up. As for Namibia and United States, we have good relations, definitely. Starting also from mandate system is Woodrow Wilson, who said there should be no spoils of war. That's how the mandate system was established. And when we were at the International Court of Justice, the United States was there with us. We only parted ways when we now said how to go about after the court failed to deliver. Now the UN was terminating the mandate of South Africa. That's where we disagree on the modalities how to go about. So, as I said, Maurice and them have been with us. We go a long way with many friends, American friends that we have here. So when we're in trouble, we'll call on you. Don't worry. We are together.
This is advice and a
Thank
pep
you,
talk.
President.
Want you here every week. Thank you so much. You have been very specific about the importance of keeping time, and there are sticklers for this at the council as well. So we're supposed to wrap up at 7. So I'm going to ask Tammy, please, to give us the last question, and we'll all be very concise.
Thank you. Mr. President, in your State of the Nation address on Harambee, you explained to the country the pillars that Minister Owino discussed and talked about sub-pillars, and much of the speech was the overview. But you also gave some examples that brought the plan alive in terms of its effects on ordinary Namibians, such as the recruitment and training of unemployed youth to administer food banks in urban areas and in rural areas to build toilets and to provide sanitation, bringing together, simultaneously addressing the youth unemployment and some of the issues of hunger and need for sanitation and toilets. Could you give just a few more examples of how the Harambee plan in all its overviews can come down to the local level and address the problems of people?
Tammy and Reed are old friends, again, people whom I work with, and they were in Namibia just recently. So yes, Harambee plan is really a detailed plan. the youth, there is a specific thing in engaging the youth. Vocational training, plus also when it comes to the food bank idea came, I was in a church and I picked up one lady who is a daughter of one of the icons of the struggle. And I was driving. As we were driving, Katutura, that's now the location, the area where blacks are living, so to say. But there were kids who were sitting, young boys, angry as we were driving. And I saw them angry, and then I dropped her. She took me around to the houses there. Look, these people are hungry. They they're hungry. We went. I said, yes. Then the idea of the food bank came from there, that I said, look, we can use maybe coupon principle of having street committees. Get those boys who were angry and give them responsibility. When they are working, to clean up first that street, to maintain security there, because women are being killed and so on. So because by those people, maintain that security there, then distribute food and so on from the food bank, which is going to be an elaborate thing, not just food being dumped. It will be. We started from other examples. So idea is to engage them. Time is apparently that. But it's to really engage them because they are the majority, and if they are unemployed, you are creating future revolutionaries.
That's a very powerful message about the importance of inclusion, and I hope everyone will join me in thanking President Geingob. It's an incredible opportunity to get to hear from you in such a conversational setting, and I suspect that there is more than one person around the table mentally making plans to visit Namibia and learn more, or return to Namibia and be delighted once again. So thank you so very much. We wish you all the best with your journey.
Thank you very much.